Your computer now at Harvey Norman.
Partly cloudy today, a top of 16, mostly sunny tomorrow 17, and a possible shower for the weekend, temps of 15. Then a possible shower Monday and partly cloudy Tuesday, temps in the mid-teens. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Call 5AA now to Talk Adelaide. 8223 0000. This is Peter Godfrey.
Good morning. It is, goodness, where's the time gone? 8 minutes past 5, flying through it. And temperature at the moment, 11 degrees. Been a fairly mild night. Let's take a look at things a little further away. Across the other side of the ditch, as they say. Selwyn Manning in New Zealand joins us. G'day, Selwyn.
Yeah, g'day, Peter.
How's things your side of the ditch?
Yeah, pretty good. There's a pretty bad cold squall coming up from the south, right across the South Island and moving up central North Island. So it'll be bringing very, very, very strong winds and blisteringly cold temperatures down in the south. And up central North Island, a few rain storms and things like that. And overnight we had a little bit of lightning, so it's a mixed bag, Peter.
Oh, there we go. You may be interested to know for the weekend in Sydney, sort of 19, 20 degrees when your All Blacks will be taking on our rugby team, but we'll get onto that a bit later.
Yes. No, that sounds good.
Yeah, all right, but we're going to start with Dirty Politics, literally. It's a new book taking a look at some dirty politics. Investigative journalist Nicky Hager. It's his latest book.
Yes, that's right. Now, Nicky Hager, he's New Zealand's best, you've got to say, he's our best investigative journalist over here. He focuses primarily on books. His last one was Other People's War. And prior to that, he did a book called The Hollow Men. And The Hollow Men focused on the National Party itself and how it was working its spin machine and all of that type of thing. And it was a fascinating read of an inside a party, their thinking, the motivations. That book, it produced a series of confidential emails that Nicky Hager was able to obtain. Those emails were between the main protagonists in the book, and this book that came out last night called Dirty Politics is in the same kind of genre there. It is founded on emails, confidential emails that were expressed between the Prime Minister's office and one of the hit bloggers, a guy called Cameron Slater that operates the Whale Oil blog, which is notorious on this side of the ditch, Peter. But the book itself, it exposes how the Prime Minister's office has coordinated and orchestrated, if you like, a political hit team, using its proxies, as Nicky Hager says, those proxies being the right-wing bloggers, to attack, vilify and demonise the Prime Minister John Key's opponents. And that's pretty much the theme of the book. It reveals to the public, and remember we're in election campaign time now, and it reveals to the public some of the more insidious elements of politics, Peter.
Okay, so what sort of insidious elements are we talking? Are we talking, sort of political blackmail, sort of getting that dirty and things like that?
Yeah, well, I'll quote Nicky Hager here directly. Now, first, just to lead in so it makes sense, the leading press advisor for the Prime Minister is a guy called Jason Eade. He features prominently in the book. His emails and those of the attack blogger Cameron Slater, they're particularly damning. Now, Nicky Hager, he said last night, and I'll quote here, in some cases it's political blackmail. He says that, and quote here, there are many cases of digging sexual dirt to try and scare and threaten people. He goes on here, and I quote again, there are many cases that looked to the country as if they were spontaneous acts of politics, which were actually orchestrated from the 9th floor, end of quote. Now, the 9th floor, what we refer to here in New Zealand, that refers to the Prime Minister's suite in the Beehive. Now, the Beehive is the executive wing of New Zealand government. Okay, that's what it's colloquially referred to here. So what Nicky Hager is saying in the book here is that the 9th floor has been like the ringmaster, if you like, of some of the most dirty politics that we have seen. The correspondence, remember, that's what this investigation is founded on in this book. It most often takes the form of email, as we mentioned in the front end of this, and those emails between Jason Eade, Cameron Slater, between the Justice Minister, Judith Collins, and her communications are right through this book. Also between the more conservative elements, bloggers and former National Party researcher, in particular National Government pollster, a guy called David Farrar. So it's not just the more right-wing leaning or more extremist-leaning people that these tactics have been expressed to. David Farrar, who's quite well respected and certainly is a political commentator of note here in New Zealand, now he is embroiled in this and revealed in this book as well, in having his part in basically an extension of the Ninth Floor's more dirty politics spin machine.
It sounds like something out of a spy novel almost, with all this dirty politics stuff going on. Yeah. What are some other things he's come across there that you can tell us?
Well, it also reveals, and we'd picked up bits of this kind of thing in the last 12 months, but the book nails it down, and it gives a categorical kind of bedrock of fact here. It reveals a direct relationship between Cameron Slater and the Prime Minister. Now, remember, as I mentioned, Cameron Slater he runs the notorious whale oil blog. It holds no prisoners, this particular blog, and Cameron, he is feared by most, both in the political realm and also in the journalist realm. Now, this book reveals a direct relationship between Cameron Slater and the Prime Minister. They're in regular telephone contact, particularly over sensitive issues. For example, here, Peter, in 2011, the Prime Minister's office used its knowledge of secret security intelligence documents, that security intelligence documents, the SIS documents, to tip off Cameron Slater to arrange an attack on the then Labour leader Phil Goff. The Prime Minister's men, they drafted an Official Information Act request for Cameron Slater to use. They sent it to him. Then Cameron Slater issued it to the SIS, and the SIS handed over that information in record time. It's quite customary here in New Zealand for that kind of information to take at least 20 working days before you get the information out. It's like a Freedom of Information Act here. And and myself included, I remember putting in a request to the SIS over that particular matter, and was surprised to get a quick turnaround. Now, this book reveals how the Prime Minister's office, from the ninth floor, the executive suite of government, had orchestrated all of this so that it could attack the opposition with security intelligence information that it was privy to and others weren't, and used Cameron Slater's attack blog for its purposes there. Also, in another incident, Slater and the Prime Minister's press advisor, Jason Eade, they discussed in email how they had entered the back end of the Labour Party's website. Eade in particular discussed how he got away with being caught out because he used variable IP addresses. Now, in technical terms, what that means is every time a computer dials up on the internet, it will use a different code or a different access code, an IP number, to do that, rather than a static one which uses the same. And he kind of jokingly criticised Cameron for using a static IP and being able to be identified when he probed into the back end of what is basically their opposition's property, IT property. So they accessed the political opponent's IT systems. They trawled through the private details of its members, the members' account numbers, the references to them, and then Cameron Slater was provided with all of that information to attack the Labour Party's closest and dearest, if you like, during the 2011 campaign period. So there are things like this. It builds up and builds up, and like I said at the beginning, Peter, it also seeks to identify sexual inappropriateness or sexual elements of their opposition and their opponents' lifestyles. And when it gets something like that, then it constructs to use that against that opponent. So there's an interesting kind of new type of thing, and the book does seem to be aptly named Dirty Politics, that's for sure.
Has your Prime Minister, John Key, responded in any way or commented on it?
Yeah, well, he has, and particularly more through a spokesperson.
Yeah.
At first, yesterday, what we noticed was prior to the book's launch, because it was totally secret as to what the subject matter was going to be, but we all knew that the book was going to be launched at 5 p.m. yesterday. Now, the Prime Minister, he believed that it was going to be an expose based on the Edward Snowden spy revelations.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's what he thought it was going to be, because that's in the particular expertise area of Nicky Hager's work in the past. So the Prime Minister clearly moved to destroy Nicky Hager's reputation and credibility at the front end. For example, he said, and I'll quote, the Prime Minister here said, most people know that Nicky Hager is a screaming left-wing conspiracy theorist. He's hardly an authority on these matters. I'm not terribly worried. End of quote. That was the Prime Minister yesterday before the book came out. Now, after the book was launched, the Prime Minister, he declined directly to comment or to be on television about it until he had the chance to be briefed or read the book. Now, the overnight, the Prime Minister got a spokeswoman to say, and I quote here, this quote from the Prime Minister's office, this is a cynically timed attack book from a well-known left-wing conspiracy theorist. It makes all sorts of unfounded allegations, and voters will see it for what it is, end of quote. So that's the official stance coming out of the Prime Minister's office at the moment in response to this book called Dirty Politics, Peter.
Interesting, and all this happening in an election year, an election that's getting ever closer in New Zealand.
Yeah. September 20th is the election date, so this is certainly hotting up and being an interesting affair. National has been edging back, the public support for National has been edging back by point. It's still very decisively the party with the most votes. Like, we're seeing it hovering around that 48% kind of margin. Some are expecting, like the I Predict poll, its pundits believe that it's going to edge right back to about 44. So if it drops down below the 47%, Peter, then it's pretty much game on for any party, the bloc, to actually succeed in this election.
Interesting. Let's get on to another competition that's probably not as dirty. All Blacks in Sydney this weekend, taking on Australia. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm guessing you're going to be leaning one particular way.
Yeah, I guess so. At the end of the day, I suppose national pride kicks in. But it's always a fascinating game, Peter, and this is why I wanted to raise it in the tail end of the program. Australia and New Zealand, we're obviously good mates in every area. We share each other's countries where we can, I suppose, and also our stars. But the account between the Wallabies and the All Blacks is always fascinating, and it's a true test, if you like, of the dominance that the All Blacks enjoy in rugby in the last few years. So remember, the last time that the All Blacks were really pushed was the Wallabies did that. They did that up in Brisbane. The Wallabies were able to beat the All Blacks when the All Blacks were preparing for the last World Cup, when they were right on their stride. So over here in New Zealand, while there's an expectation that the All Blacks, Peter, are going to beat the Wallabies, the game is yet to be played, and so there are those who are saying if the All Blacks are going to win this, they've really got to get their defensive game sorted out. They've really got to sort that out. And I guess what people are talking about is, the All Blacks have just finished in June. They finished a series at home here in New Zealand against England. England's obviously always a top team too. And the All Blacks, the results were on the first test 20-15. The All Blacks won. The second test 28-27. So they just beat England on that game. And then the third and final test was a whitewash where the All Blacks stormed up.
Oh, we got you there, Selwyn. I think we might have lost Selwyn there somehow. That phone's playing. We'll try and get Selwyn back to wind that up. Selwyn Manning from livenews.co.nz in New Zealand. The Wallabies taking on the All Blacks in Sydney this weekend.
Leon Biner.
The federal budget's $7 co-payment is turning out to be a bugbear for the federal government. The Treasurer has always talked about sharing the heavy lifting, but paid parental leave for wealthy consumers while forcing a law where the vulnerable must pay the doctor seems remarkably unfair. It's also price signalling people away from the doctor.
Leon Biner. Weekday mornings from 9 on 1395 5AA.
The fastest dogs are let loose every Monday, Wednesday and Thursday at Angle Park. So come enjoy action-packed greyhound racing. Entries free and Chase's famous Thursday night buffet is a must. Google GRSA to find out more. Gamble responsibly.
Graham's a keen cyclist. He's not a pro or anything, and he's only just plucked up the courage to wear Lycra. So if he had a fall and broke his wrist, SportsMed SA is there to help him get back on track and back on the bike. With a modern specialist hospital at Stepney and a team of expert orthopaedic surgeons, Graham could be back on his bike in no time. New Lycra and all. Ask your doctor for a referral to SportsMed SA. Visit sportsmed.com.au.
Your outdoor entertaining area can be fabulous all year round with a little help from Shade Tech, formerly Blind Tech. Shade Tech can fit you out with superior quality outdoor blinds and awnings, keeping your outdoor area cooler in summer and warmer in winter. And unlike other places, you won't pay the earth for them. There's no middleman, just superior quality blinds at very affordable prices. The Zip Track range is versatile and will suit any style. Enjoy the great outdoors all year round. Call 8283 3477 or visit shadetech.net.au.
It's time for today's small business shout out. Ooh, it's colder than the hair on a polar bear's bum. And believe me, folks, I would know. Anyway, I'm giving a small business shout out to all the greenskeepers, brickies, chippies, sparkies and truckies that are working in the not so great outdoors today. Remember, it's resilience that makes a small business a strong business, and it's GIO's business insurance with emergency response cover that keeps it better protected. So call GIO on 13 10 10. Issued by GIO. Read the PDS before purchasing.
Talking Adelaide with Peter Godfrey on 1395 5AA.
24 past 5 now. We just lost Selwyn off the line there from New Zealand, but we'll just wind it up there with him. We got you back, Selwyn?
Yeah, we're all back, Peter.
All back. So it should be a pretty exciting game Saturday.
I must have been harping on about the All Blacks.
We went, no, enough of that All Black stuff.
Yeah, had enough of that nonsense. Yeah, so that great game, it'll be a great game. There's some interesting changes in the All Black team, and the Wallabies are expected to really be fired up for this. So the All Black defence is said this side of the ditch to be what will keep the All Blacks ahead at the end of when the whistle blows, but time will tell on that one, Peter. If the All Blacks play a great defensive game, they're expected to do well. But the pundits here are expecting the game to be close. If the All Blacks do win, they're saying that it won't be any more than around 13 points. And others are saying, hey, hang on a minute, the Wallabies can do this team and they'll do them well. So let's see what happens. That game is played in Sydney on Saturday, and it's, what's it say? It's 22 minutes past 5, 5 minutes past 10 at night, New Zealand time, so take a couple of hours off.
So we're looking at
around 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock or thereabouts. Okay,
Yeah,
so and the weather, well, could that affect? Might be a shower or two evening in Sydney, 19 degrees. So
yeah,
whether that'll
nice
affect
and warm, but
Yeah.
we're used to it a bit cooler over the side of the ditch, obviously. And,
could give us the edge then.
Yeah, could maybe, Peter. But there will be an interesting game for sure, and this is all part of the build-up to the Rugby World Cup, which is again next year.
Yeah, look forward to it.
So we're all pitching, no doubt, all teams are pitching to try and get some form going for that.
Absolutely. Good on you, Selwyn. Thank you so much. Have a great week. We'll catch you again next week.
You too, Peter.
Cheers, bye-bye. Selwyn Manning in New Zealand. For more, head to livenews.co.nz.
Talking Adelaide with Leon Biner.
Thanks to the Optical Superstore. Precision multifocal lens satisfaction or a 100% money-back guarantee.
Weekday mornings from 9 on 1395 5AA.
Have you ever thought of employing a person with a disability? It's a great way to recruit new people for your business, and it's easy. To tell us more, here's Joe from Programmed Property Services.
Hi, Dylan.
Hello, Joe. Thanks for joining us. So can you fill us in?
Well, Programmed Property Services operate across Adelaide in many different areas, and